Okay, good afternoon Transformers fans, Phil here with another video review. This time I'm going to be sticking with the Generations line, only doing something from the recent computer game, War for Cybertron Bumblebee. Now, just wow, before we even start, it comes packaged in robot mode, but I think it was PR said on one of his videos that you go from robot mode to vehicle mode, and there's just something off about that. You know, I'd quite like to go from vehicle to robot mode, which is, you know, something that I agree with, because you kind of get the vehicle, you know what the vehicle looks like. It's the process of getting it from vehicle to robot that everyone wants to see, not the reverse transformation. It does come with this gun, which in vehicle mode stores in the back. There's a little ridge there, and there's a little gap in the gun there, and you do have to get in a bit to get it on, but I don't keep it with him. His gun goes with the classic Bumblebee, because obviously the classic Bumblebee didn't have a gun. He had that stupid little wave rider thing, and War for Cybertron Bumblebee has two blades that pop out of his forearms. So that's his weaponry, so he doesn't need a gun as well. Plus it looks a bit silly because of the way his hand is sculpted. But anyway, this is fantastic. I mean, they're just the smoothness of this, and it's one of the best rolling Transformers I've ever seen. This rolls fantastically, and to say it's how intricate the transformation is, everything lines up pretty well. There's a couple of gaps you can see just there, and you know, there's minuscule gaps really. I mean, the engineering on this toy is absolutely fantastic. It's kind of like, it's his Cybertronian mode, obviously, from War for Cybertron video game. But just the design of it, to get it looking this smooth, and then to see the robot mode, I mean, I have absolutely no complaints. Like I say, aside from the little gaps here and there, but even then, they're not too obvious. It just rolls brilliantly, and I can't say enough, this vehicle mode is absolutely fantastic. This panel here, if you can see that, seems to be a lighter yellow than the rest of the car. I don't know why that is. It's the same on that side as well. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but in person it is. But again, it just doesn't matter. The biggest gaps I've got are there. You can kind of try and just push them in, but there's always going to be a bit of a gap there. But even so, just the engineering that's gone into getting this vehicle mode as good as it is, and not sacrificing anything in robot mode either, is absolutely fantastic. This cost me $14.99, so it was £2 more expensive than Thrust and kind of the average deluxe price nowadays. But is it worth it? Hell yeah, it's worth it. It's small. It's a small vehicle mode. Let me just bring in Classic Bumblebee again. And he's wider. He's kind of bulkier than Classic Bumblebee, but he's not quite as long. Classic Bumblebee is a little bit longer. But for a Cybertronian car mode, you ain't going to get much better than this one. I have got Optimus Prime and Drift on the way. I don't know if Drift is modelled off the game or the comic or not. I'm not quite sure. But Cybertronian Optimus Prime looks just as good. But man, this is going to take some beating for a Cybertronian mode, because it actually looks realistic and believable, as well as being just a fantastic design. It's keeping all its colour scheme with the yellows and blacks without going over the top. And you can just tell it's Bumblebee. Nice Autobot symbol there. Anyway, transformation is a little bit complicated. For such a small figure, he does, you know, have quite a complex transformation. But it's just kind of a matter of, I'm not going to really talk too much about it, I'll just show you how it is. But, you know, like the legs kind of collapse and extend and all that, you know, so there's lots of folding and collapsing and extending and all that kind of stuff. So let's do the same with this leg. Kind of have to pull it out, and there's a tab there, and there's a plug there, so it is secure. It's a very secure robot mode as well. It's not gonna fall apart or anything. I've had no quality control issues or anything. He does have kind of goofy elf-looking feet when he stands up, but hey, they're sturdy, and that's really what you want in Transformer, isn't it? So, and again, like the front wheels kind of just fold back onto his forearms, so he does kind of have big forearms. big forearm pad, but you know, never mind. And then you pop that up and around, and that's his head, and then you kind of just have to pop that through. Hang on, let me just take this off camera for a second. There we are. So there you can see he's pretty much transformed there. I mean, posability on this as well. I mean, a lot of the posability is because of the transformation, but it makes it a cracking figure. And then the only downside to this figure is this is the back of the car. Let's see if I can just extend that again. That forms the back of the car. If I can get that in shot. And it kind of just, everything else is not really a shell former, because obviously, yeah, that's the front of the car. That's the, sorry, those are the, like the sides and the wheels of the car. That's the front. That all folds up inside. But this little bit kind of is. Just kind of collapse that down, push that down a little bit, and that's it. And it does form a bit of, I mean, that's like the whole back of the vehicle mode. So it does kind of give him a bit of a hunchback look. But that's the only complaint. If you took that away, I mean, that figure is sleek. You know, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Like I said, big forearms, but it just doesn't matter because it's such a good figure. And then you take the gun and you just slide that into his hands. The only problem is, because of the way his hands are angled and designed, it doesn't actually look like he's holding it at all. Look at that. There's kind of no fingers gripping that whatsoever. And then the other point is, you get these blades. The good thing is they flip out just by you pushing them. There's no button or anything, not like Leader Optimus Prime from Revenge of the Fallen. There's no button. You just push them out and it clicks at certain points. So he's got the blades, so I really don't feel the need to give him the gun. So there we have War for Cybertron Bumblebee. Absolutely fantastic. Worth 15 quid in both modes, absolutely. Just a couple of size comparisons. Here he is with Octane. So for, I mean, this guy, he's not in regular mode at the moment, but he is kind of a bit smaller. Classic Bumblebee is a bit of a smaller figure. You know, War for Cybertron Bumblebee is actually pretty big, and he's stable as well. My knee joints I can see them getting a bit loose in the future, but they're not at the moment. You see, he's actually a little bit taller than Thrust, so he's a little bit bigger than the Seeker mould, and he's quite bulky as well. I mean, next to somebody like Dropshot, he's never going to be that big. But for deluxe, I mean, I think all the Generations figures are going to be in deluxe scale. All the War for Cybertron figures are anyway. But definitely worth picking up. I'll just stick his gun in his hand just for the sake of his accessory. But I mean, posability, he's got all that. He's got, you know, ball joints, double elbows. His wrists can turn, but there's not much point. He has got a ball jointed head, so that can go up and down. And he does have waist articulation. He doesn't. You know, his ball joint hasn't got the greatest range of movement on his head, but I mean, he's not going to be lacking to get into pose. There's one minor quibble that's not going to put me off at all, is that there is, if you can see, I'll get it down, that little post and that little hole go together, but they don't particularly lock in very well. You kind of have to really push it in, and even then it doesn't really stay, so you do get his arms flapping around a little bit. But you know, I've seen worse Transformers, I've had worse Transformers, and for 15 quid, I mean, yeah, it's a little bit pricey, so if you want to wait for the price to drop, then by all means do it, but if you can't wait for the price to drop, 15 quid, definitely worth it. That's me out. Until next time, stay safe.